here, Lord Jesus. Here we go. I think it was this one. Hey guys, welcome. I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on with my headphones, and I don't know. I think there's something wrong with the headphones that I just bought, so I'm having to switch over to these particular headphones. So, on today's reading, or I guess astrological breakdown, I'm going to do a little bit of like I did yesterday when it came to Diddy. I'm going to take a little bit of a look at BlueFace's natal chart. Now, I do not have his exact birth time, but I did go ahead and just put the generic birth time on there. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to look at the transits. I think that's really what I kind of want to take a look at this particular point. I really want to take a look at the transits that he is going through right now. Of course, we know 9 months to make a baby, as well as the time period that it will take to get here. Sometimes the baby can come a little bit sooner than expected, but you have this significant amount of time to prepare for this new beginning. But even with that being said, some people still are not prepared. Okay, so I did pull up a little bit of my sources, and I actually want to take a look at the horary, or the event chart. If you guys have not been a part of my astrological breakdowns before, I've done event charts, or the practice is horary in astrology, where you look at the planets and time. It can kind of gate tell you like about feelings, if this situation is going to work out, if you're going to break up, if you're going to move. I mean, you could pretty much, there is a big pool of questions that you can come up with if you want to know the answer to something, and you can create one of these event charts. Okay, now you have to have a data profile in astro.com, and you can create that for free. It's not that big of a deal. And this is where you go to input your data. It's pretty much like making a birth chart in real time. So whenever we do horary, it's pretty much like you are having a baby. The question is the baby. So whatever the time is that you think of the question, wherever you're located, that is your birth chart, or that is your horary question. And that's how we move on from there. So I'm actually going to pull this up first and kind of see how he is feeling about this whole baby situation when it pertains to Krishan. Now, I am going to use the seventh house, or the seventh lord, from him, because he and Krishan were in a relationship. So I am going to use the seventh lord, but I'll show you as soon as I finish inputting the data. And I know this may seem like a lot of jargon. I get it, because it definitely felt that way to me. But I'm going to try to break it down the best way that I know how at this particular point. Okay. I don't know why every time I put in the location, it always wants to come up with Alabama first. Um, but either way, so I've created the birth chart based off of the baby, or the question that I am forming right now. I want to know how Blueface is feeling about the whole Krishan situation. And when it comes to these particular event charts that I make, it's kind of hard to fake it. You know how sometimes people will say, oh, I'm not really messed up about it, but deep down they are falling apart. So it's kind of difficult to hide that when it pertains to, these type of astrology practices. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what I am referring to. Synergy, where did you get that from? What's the source on that? Besides yourself, of course. But what's the source on that? Where'd you get that from? What system? Who confirmed it? Did his mother confirm it? Did he confirm it? I have to know these type of things. Because most of the time, if we have an accurate birth time, it's been verified, uh, A plus verified by, those type of sources. So I just want to know before I put that in there and before we go off on that. So let me know. But until then, we're just gonna keep it at 12 p.m. But we don't really need the birth. We don't really need his birth time right now anyway to do the horary. We'll look at that in just a second. Okay. Anyway, so let me share my screen. Where'd it go? I think it's this one right here. Should be. Okay, yes. Okay, guys. So here is our event chart. This is where we're at right now when it pertains to the whole Blueface situation, how he is feeling when it pertains to Chrisean having his baby. Okay. So in this particular practice, he is going to be signified by the seventh house or the seventh lord in this instance because I do not know him on that particular type of level. He would be considered a public figure, and we know the seventh house is very public house, and yada yada yada. Okay, so that's why he would take the seventh house. Now, if I knew him, etc., and he was like, I have a question, then I would give him the first house. But since we have no direct link or connection with one another, he's going to take the seventh house, meaning that his seventh house or the seventh lord of him would be tied to Taurus. Okay. Now we already see that Neptune, or excuse me, Uranus is retrograding in Taurus at the moment, and Uranus is retrograding in a sign of tied to finance, tied to wealth, because that is Taurus, but also possessions. There's a lot of things under Taurus energy. Okay, you can just look at the book of rulership if you're curious. But we also do have Jupiter. We know wherever Jupiter touches, he or she, however we want to label it. I mean, there's no gender on it, but you get the point. It likes to expand wherever it's at. Now Jupiter is in the sixth house of now the sixth house is a house where it signifies the loss through partnerships, or AKA like divorce. Okay. Not saying that these two were married, but in some sort of a manner, you can see Jupiter is retrograding in a house that is tied to the losses through one's partner. So, put two and two together. You can kind of see where I'm going with that. But that's not why we're here anyway. I was just paying attention to it because it was in Taurus and it was right there. So, before we go and look at the Lord of Taurus, which we know is Venus right here in Leo, let's take a look at the degree of Blueface, or the degree that he is currently on. He is sitting, because we're going to look at the degree of the seventh house, which would be him in this instance. He is sitting right now on the 25th degree of Taurus. Now, trying to go see, where am I going? I gotta go to my favorites in my phone. Where is it? Okay. So the 25th degree is tied to Aries. Now we know Aries is naturally the first house on the natal chart if we just take away all the data. Okay. And we know Aries is tied to the brand ambassador, the face. Okay. So in some sort of a way, we could even say, just based off of just looking at the degree, he is trying to save face in some sort of a manner when it pertains to this particular situation. Me thinking of saving face makes me think of, you're possibly trying to cover something up. Maybe you showed your ass in a very not so great way, and that has already came out, or that could possibly be coming out. So it's almost like trying to get ahead of the ship before it completely breaks down. Okay, that's just speculation at this particular point. We haven't looked at the detail of the 25th degree of Taurus, but we will in just a second. But before, well, I guess we'll look a little bit at the detail right now. Let's go to the decan. Okay, we'll go to this tab. Let's look at the decan. What is the 25th degree decan of Taurus tied to? Again, more than likely going to be tied to Aries. Now, decans, as I said yesterday, they just go into detail the same way I do whenever I pull up my sources and I read the paragraphs that go over what the degree means. It's the same difference, except decans are just a little bit shorter in length when it comes to the description. That's all. Okay, so let's scroll down here. So as you can see, he is situated on the third decan or the last decan of Taurus at this particular point, which is ruled by Saturn. Now we know Saturn is tied to responsibility. Okay, now part of that saving face, remember, like I said, it could be one of those things where you're trying to get ahead, where you're trying to get in front of a situation. Sometimes you may be trying to do that so that you can evade responsibility or evade accountability when it pertains to whatever the heck you have done. That is a possibility. Okay, as you can see here, the third decan of Taurus is from 20 degrees to 29 degrees. And this decan is situated on a planet or tied to a planet that speaks of karma. And we know the 29th degree is a very karmic degree. Okay, we also know Saturn, or AKA Kronos, who Kronos was the father to who? A bunch of kids. Who was it? Zeus. I think Hades is on there. Poseidon. I don't know if Apollo was, maybe not. I can't remember who Apollo's daddy was, but it doesn't matter. But yes, Saturn, father. Okay, of course we know um structure. Okay, when we're just talking about Saturnian things, but also Saturn makes, I think Saturn is tied to business. I can't remember if it's commercial or not, because there's different types of business, but you get the drift. Okay, so as this deacon says, it is tied to practicality, it is tied to determination, it is tied to reliability, loyalty, serious about your relationships. So here's the thing, if we're talking about saving face, okay, and if we bring into the mix all of these, let's call them adjectives, when it pertains to describing the 25th degree of Taurus, we could say, if we just go back to this particular chart, okay, um, maybe in a way, he could possibly be hurt because things are moving too fast. Moving too fast in terms of maybe feeling a bit discarded, which could dive into insecurities. Because if we go back, if we think of the story of Kronos, which we already talked about, I think, during my Greek mythology stories, which if we haven't talked about it, we're going to talk about that probably after Apollo. But if you think about the story of Kronos, insecurity in a way played a part as to why he ate his children. It's the insecurity in terms of, I don't want to not sit on this throne. This is all I know. This is who I am. I can't have my kids over. It's like one of those things where a parent has a child and is maybe jealous of the child, or maybe he was jealous of his children, probably because they're about to overthrow your ass and you're just not going to be in power anymore. So maybe the story of Kronos also can apply in Blueface's situation as well. Now, I'm not saying that he is jealous of this child. He could be, but we don't necessarily know how it's going to play out. I mean, the baby is barely 5 days old. So there is a long, drawn out timeline, let's say, when it pertains to the relationship, if he has one, when it comes to the baby. Okay. But just where he's from, in terms of, like I talked about, the 25th degree of Taurus, he could be, maybe, I mean, maybe this is just me. Maybe in some sort of way, he could be waking up to these adjectives. He could be starting to become maybe more practical, maybe starting to become more determined. And I don't necessarily know why this particular child is the one that is making him become maybe more practical or determined, but where he is thinking from is, yes, I do feel like in a way he could be definitely thinking from a place of hurt as well as ego, because we haven't, talked about his lord. We know his lord, which is Venus, because Venus is the lord of Taurus, but it's right here in Leo. We know Leo is boisterous. Okay. We know Leo can definitely be proud because it is the sun. The sun doesn't, I mean, think about it. Does the sun, do you think the sun really likes anybody outshining it? No, not really. It may not necessarily tell you, or the The son may not come out and say it outright, like, I don't like the fact that you're better than me, but you're gonna know that feeling that I think the sun has a problem with me shining brighter than it is. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's the case, but it does feel like, just based off of this little bit of information here. We have Aries and we have Saturn, okay, which we know Aries is tied to Mars, exactly. And we know Saturn, well, Saturn is Saturn. So it could just be, this, and I don't care if he had 20 kids. For some reason, maybe the fear or something about responsibility and things moving a little bit quicker is becoming an issue, because, again, like I said, Leo wants to be the one. It wants to be at the head of the table. And also, again, like I said, Leo is proud. Leo wants to be proud. So we also may have a situation where, I mean, it may not necessarily be too far fetched, but we may have someone where now all of a sudden they are maybe at that point where they're just like, may want their child to be proud of them. And it just kind of comes across to me like, in a way, trying to turn over a new leaf, but at the same time, you can't do that because you still have to stick to how you have been. And it's just something in particular about this, like I said, particular child. It could be, and this could be the 15th child. For some reason, this is the one where the light bulb starts clicking. Which, if that is the case, it can start creating issues with the women or other people in his life that he has had relationships with, had kids with. It doesn't matter who. It can start to create issues, because then for them, it could be, why this child and why not my child? So you see how we have a little bit of an issue. Okay. But in some sort of a way, because especially with that heavy influence of Saturn, and no surprise, he is Aquarius, okay, which we know Aquarius and Capricorn are tied to Saturn. It's just one of those things. So we can also say, just with him on the 25th degree of Taurus, he's determined about something. I mean, and again, this is just my opinion. It may even be one of those situations where, I guess in a, not bizarre, but I guess in a weird kind of way, maybe this child may possibly end up being his favorite. So with that being said, now that practicality thing is starting to buzz like a bee. So now, in a way, because we know how favoritism goes, you get more stuff than the other kids. You want to be more involved with this child than than the other kids that you already have. That is a dangerous spot to be in if you are the other children in the situation. And that's unfortunate. Now, would this child be your favorite because of something that the child is going to bring that you were unable to achieve? That is possible as well. Okay. I believe Saturn is actually tied to jealousy. So let me actually just go back, because I remember seeing that in the book of rulership. But let me just double check if I'm not mistaken. It's either Saturn or Neptune is what jealousy is tied to, but I believe it may be Saturn. Yes, jealousy is tied to Saturn. Okay. So there could be jealousy in this particular situation. Okay. Now let's take a little bit of a deeper look, or get into some more detail when it comes to this this 25th degree of Taurus. Okay, let's go to the more in-depth version of this. Oh, I done went past it, scrolling too fast. Okay, so the 25th degree of Taurus says, oh, look at that. Violent, murderous tendencies, athletic ability. So, I mean, I don't know. Could the baby end up being, well, I think he's some sort of an athlete. Who knows? I wonder if the baby is possibly going to have the same athletic ability, and then, this child, I don't know, may end up taking it farther than he ever could. For some parents that is an issue, especially for those parents that had their heydays and who knows, high school or college, and then you have an offspring and they come in and they jumping out the gym, and for some reason you can't wrap your mind around where they got that from, but it didn't happen to you. Let's not pretend. I mean, there's a lot of parents like that. So unfortunately, some of you guys listening are like that, if we're going to be honest, but you probably won't be honest about it, and that's fine. Honesty is the best policy. um, but either way, but that violent tendencies, that murderous tendencies, in a way, kind of goes along with me talking about that Aries dynamic that this 25th degree Taurus has. Remember, I talked about 25th degree is Aries. Okay, we know Aries is tied to Mars. We know Mars is the fighter. Saturn Mars does give me fighter esque type of energy. So in this particular way, um, without a doubt, he is angry, but I think in some sort of a manner, the anger is really a cover up. The anger may be a cover up for jealousy, or it may possibly be a cover up when it pertains to hurt. Two things can be true. It could be both. Or like I said, the anger may really just be a ploy, but really deep down, he could be turning more into this right here, being more practical, being more determined in some sort of a manner, it's like all of a sudden, you know, you want to grow up. And again, like I said, this can be kind of dangerous though, if, with other kids involved, other parties involved, other, who knows, baby mamas involved, because then you're going to run into a dangerous situation. So it could just be an act to try to keep things as someone, I don't know, try to keep things civil. I know it doesn't necessarily make any sense, but I guess I could kind of see both sides in a way. And that's just based off of the degree that we're looking at when it comes to the horary. So now let's take a look at his lord. Blueface, again, we're looking here because the seventh house is in Taurus, which signifies him. So Venus is right here in Leo, which I kind of was, talking about in the first place, but nonetheless. And look, the 12th degree is a Pisces degree. So I think that further goes to me talking about that the anger could be coming from jealousy. It could be coming from, well, I mean, shoot, just anger, period. Or it could just simply be coming from confusion. It's one of those situations. If you guys remember, I think this was years back whenever the rapper Future came out and he was talking about how he pretty much wanted to turn over a new leaf. He doesn't necessarily want to rap about the same things that he's been rapping about because that's not him anymore. But him trying to turn over that new leaf, it doesn't get him anywhere because people don't give a damn. For some people, for some reason, people want self-destructive you. People want this, people want that, but that's not where you're at anymore. It kind of is giving me that same energy in a way when it pertains to him. Hence the confusion, hence possibly where the anger is coming from. Anger can come from confusion. Think about little kids. They can simply just be angry because they are confused. They don't necessarily know how to properly say how they feel, or they are just afraid to say how they feel. So here comes the anger. Here comes all these different type of emotions, but it's just confusing. Okay? Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have kids and then they're just angry and you just don't understand, and then, you have to do something to get them talking, and now you realize, "Oh, okay. You just did not properly know how to say what was wrong with you. So you used anger as a way to express your emotions." We know how dangerous that can be. And it kind of is giving me that energy. Like, of course, a literal child. Because because something, like I said, something about this particular situation unfortunately has hit home and kind of like made this person realize, I have to grow up. But if you're not really ready to grow up, can you imagine the backlash? I mean, it also could be one of those things here as well, where if it's coming across like she is the one that is growing up, that could be an issue for him because he may be feeling like, well, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be the one people notice that's growing up. I'm supposed to be the more mature one. I'm supposed to be the more level headed one in the situation. Why are you guys thinking that she's level-headed one? So that can be where some of this could be coming from as well. You see how many emotions are all over the place? I feel like that's kind of like what we're thinking about. And I think in a way, even though he has kids before, I think in a way it's still natural. Children are a lot of responsibility. And I think that's kind of like what we're looking at. He's just afraid of responsibility. And that's okay. That's okay. Um or specifically he's afraid of the responsibility that this particular situation could bring, because again, we don't know what the timeline is going to look like. We don't know how she is going to change, because everything, look, again, if you've had kids, you know what it is. Everything can be fine one minute, then all of a sudden the next minute you are having all these thoughts that are not okay, and you can't understand it, but you try to do other stuff to cover up the thoughts that you're having. So we don't know how it's going to play out, because we know that certain things can hit you at a certain time, especially if we're talking about postpartum. It's like grief. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine, and all of a sudden, boom, it just hits you like a ton of bricks, and you don't know where it came from. You don't know the stress. You don't know how stress is going to do in this particular situation. You just don't know. All these things are, I think those are natural thoughts. That's okay. But if you've been told that you cannot have said thoughts, if you've been told that you can't go there, of course you're going to lash out and do stupid stuff. And we know Piscean energy, that subconscious. And I think that's what it is. She has, I guess, in some sort of way, she still finds a way to tick him off, even if she doesn't do anything. She could just stare in the blank space, and I'm pissed off. I'm angry. It's like a mental warfare. Or in his mind, he may think that she is like, I don't know, playing games with him or something like that. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So, Blueface is signified on the 12th degree of Leo, okay, for this Venus placement. He is in the ninth house. So, we know life, ninth house is Sagittarius, normally Jupiter, okay, long distance. Okay, so these two are probably away from one another, but I haven't seen how seventh from him is going to connect. So we'll look at that in just a second. And let's go back to the Decan sheet again. Okay, so let's look at the Decan that he is on in Leo. So he would be considered on the second decan of Leo. Okay, this is ruled by Jupiter. Imagine that. Remember, Jupiter likes to expand whatever area, whatever attributes of the sign is in, it just likes to expand there. Okay, so freedom loving, you see what I'm saying? Freedom loving, rebellious, romantic, scattered. See, have a positive outlook on life. But these are all the things that we already talked about whenever I looked at the Taurus decan and the Taurus degree. We already talked about that anger. We already talked about that confusion. Hence, it ties into being scatterbrained. We already talked about that, hence that sense of responsibility, or just being scared of the responsibility. Because in his mind, he may be thinking, like, I know I'm going to have to step up in maybe more ways than I ever have when it pertains to my other kids. And that is scary to me. So it is, I mean, I don't know, in some type of ways, maybe he's afraid that he may have to actually step in and take over. Again, we don't know how the timeline is going to play out. We're just here 2-3 days later. We have a long way to go. Okay. But and that could be another scary thing as well, because if you've had, with having other kids, if you've had a situation with the other children's parent where you can go and do whatever the hell it is that you want to do, and they're always there, the kids are always there with the mom, and the mom is taking care of them. But now you have this situation where your fear is, wow, I may have to play mom and dad. What the hell am I going to do? So it's that energy of feeling like, I feel like I'm going to have to step up in ways I've never have before. But it also could be you may want to step up in ways that you never have with your other kids. And like I said, that can be a dangerous dynamic, because your other kids, no matter how old they are, could be like, what the F is this? Why do I not get the same thing that you're giving this child or about to give this child. But these are probably thoughts or whatever it is. He can't share this with it's not like he can go and be honest in this regard to Chrisean, shoot, or even to his child's mother, or even to whoever it is, because it's just gonna be like chaos. Is gonna be very Mars anger. That's what you probably could be looking at, if you were to go and be honest in this type of way. You know, that's why I say all the time, even in readings that I do for you guys on tarot, I say all the time, I don't give a shit how old you are. Your age has nothing to do with you being responsible or being adult or growing the F up. It has nothing to do with that. There's people that are probably 20 and more grown than people who are 65. It doesn't matter. So, and also, you don't know whenever your growing up moment is going to hit you. You don't know. You don't know when it happens for you. You don't know when it's going to possibly happen for somebody that you had a kid with. You just don't know. One day they wake up and all of a sudden they want to be a grown up. Does it suck? Yes. Let it go. You can't determine when somebody's going to grow up. It doesn't work like that. And I think that's probably the energy or the area that we're at right now. He's slowly growing up. It's slow, it's slow, it's slow, it's slow, it's slow. And just because you can pay a bill, write a check, that don't mean you're grown. But it's slow. And I feel like, just based off of, like I said, me talking about the Decans, talking about the degrees in detail, I think that's kind of like what we're looking at right here. So I can imagine a little bit. Okay? And this is a threat to his freedom. That's a problem, in a way. Or at least maybe he's pretending it to be a problem. But maybe in a way he's kind of excited. Maybe. Maybe he really is kind of excited for, this timeline, this transition, this new beginning to be happening, but you can't say it because that's going to make you look even worse. you but let's look at the detail of Leo 12 degrees. Okay, so the 12th degree of Leo says beauty, constancy, holding to own beliefs, self-assertion. All right. So again, this goes back into this deacon talking about being scattered. There's a million and one thoughts all over the place. You're going from jealousy to anger. Now you're going to bring very practical and determined, like, I have to probably be a better father. I have to do this. I have to step up. I may have to end up taking care of this baby. And then you turn around to, well, I don't want this baby to outshine me. I don't want you to outshine me, because that's exactly kind of like what's happening. You guys are outshining me. I'm the beautiful one in this particular situation. Why is nobody looking at me, and my gorgeous face? These are all the thoughts that are going through one's head at the moment, or his head possibly at the moment. So you can imagine why the Pisces energy is playing a big role. There's that scattered brain energy. There's that confusion. There's your subconscious stepping into play. I said it yesterday for the Diddy video. You don't know what is embedded in people's subconscious. You just don't freaking know. And that's why it's said a lot of times that you have to watch the people that you lay down with, because the 12th house, which is naturally tied to Pisces, is tied to our bed pleasures, but also the 12th house is tied to our subconscious. So whenever you're doing what you're doing, it's almost like you're allowing that person's subconscious to shoot up inside you. At that point, you're on your freaking own. You're on your own. You have to dig into the subconscious a bit to figure out what you're working with. Seriously. And hopefully, I'm just saying, hopefully that is not going to play a part when it pertains to, a child's subconscious. I would hope not, because that would not be good. But I've said it before. It starts in the womb when it pertains to what baby feels and all that good stuff. I've said it before. And I think anybody would say that, you know. But so let's take a look and see if he is connecting. So we've already talked about how BlueFace is signified by this house right here, right? And we've already signified or determined that BlueFace's planet, or his lord, is in Leo. Now, Venus just left out of retrograde. So Venus is in a direct motion. So What is seventh from Blueface? So what we need to do to figure out if he and Chrisean are connecting, still connected, or however we want to label it, we need to see what is fifth from him. So we just count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So the seventh from Blueface, which would signify Chrisean in this manner, is not making a connection to him at all. Venus and Saturn, which would Venus would represent Blueface, Saturn would represent Krishan. They are not in connection. She's here. Ironically, she is considered Saturn in Pisces, but also in a retrograde motion. And here's the thing with her. This baby could also end up bringing up some subconscious, uncomfortable memories tied to men or specifically her father. I'm not sure if was, an alcoholic or had something to do when it pertains to an improper bed pleasure, if you get my drift. We don't know if that is something that could have transpired in her life, but if it is, this is bringing up something, okay? And that's why I was saying before, you don't necessarily know how this is going to play out, timeline speaking, because we know energy ebbs and flows, you know? But this is where she's at. And look, she is about to move into the fourth house. Now, Saturn in the fourth house, not that great. The fourth house is naturally tied to Cancer, and we know Saturn don't like being in Cancer. Too moody. It's a lack of stability. So that may be why he is coming from a place of, I guess, trying to be more practical, because maybe a part of him is concerned how many times, how much ebb and flow is going to happen when it pertains to in Krishan's life, which essentially ends up affecting the baby's life. That could be possibly where he's coming from. That could be where he's nervous about. That could be what he's angry about. That could be what he is sad about. You know, but so these two are not connecting, meaning that these two are probably not really together, even if people are saying that, oh, they may be still together. She's going to go back. Right now, she's not really interested, but she is making an aspect to Moon, whoever this is in the house of Blueface. Now, who this Moon person is, I don't know. This Moon is, and it's weird. This is a middleman. This Moon is making an aspect to Blueface, and this Moon is making an aspect to Krishan. So whoever this middleman person could be, more than likely a woman. It doesn't have to be a new girlfriend. It could be a mother. It could be a sister. It could be anybody. It could be a twin. It could be somebody that one of them calls twin. You know how people do that. I guess twin, best friend, whatever you want to call. Or it could even possibly be younger sibling. So there is some sort of a middle something. It could be a younger sibling, like I said. It could be mother, grandmother, sister, quote unquote twin. If one of them has somebody that they call them that, but it could be the link. I guess maybe in some sort of way, maybe these two are like what do you call, one and the same. They're two sides of the same coin. So maybe they could be what they like, what you like to call twin flames. The real twin flames. Some of you guys, I think you just be in la la land about this twin flame, blah blah blah. Blah. But twin flame situations are not easy, and I'm not really sure where that came from. Where it, you know, no, they are not easy whatsoever. They look more like what these two have went through, in my opinion, because there's a lot of karmic energy probably from several lifetimes that you have to deal with. So I'm not really sure where it came from. That is sunshine and daisies, and then you're sitting on top of a mountain of rose petals, and everything is just so grandiose. Like, shut it down, please. No, there's a lot of karmic energy that you have to work through. So maybe in a way, these two are possibly the truest example you're probably ever going to get to, maybe when it pertains to quote unquote twin flames. Okay, my opinion. If you have an issue about a twin flame discussion, talk to the doctor about it, because I don't give a shit. Um, but anyway, Let's see. So let's talk about Krishan. Like I said, she in a way would kind of like be Saturn in the fourth, which I've not heard great things about. Again, a lot of it is because that is naturally where Cancer's house is. Okay. Meaning that this would not be an easy placement. It's not easy to deal with. Okay. Because of course, we know even though Saturn can definitely bring that sense of responsibility and helping you grow up and all these great things, Saturn can be great if you know how to deal with them. But when you don't know how to deal with Saturn, it can bring limitations, blockages, and hardships. So, in a way, she may be, we're talking about Krishan, in a way, she may be subconsciously, because it is in the sign of the subconscious, she could be subconsciously thinking about that, how in a way this may limit her, this may block her. Okay. Or remember, like I said, subconscious issues may be coming to the surface, and she may be thinking about hardships that she has had to deal with when it pertained to her father. And these hardships are probably not easy. They're probably things that we don't need to know about and we probably ain't going to know about. Okay. So, in some sort of a way, she, or maybe to him, he may feel that she could become more problematic. In what way? I don't know. And also, maybe because when Saturn goes into the fourth house of family, because also the fourth house is tied to our roots. You know what I'm saying? We know is tied to the mother. That could be where he possibly is coming from. Where you know how some people, and especially her Saturn, especially Krishan, is squaring the moon, you know? So coldness, Saturn in the fourth house can bring a coldness. So it could be one of those things where maybe he's worried that, that maternal instinct has not kicked in, no matter what pictures you take, because we know Pisces is creative and, photography is part of the creativity of it all, you know? But that could be where his worry is coming from, or that may be an actual thing. There's a coldness here. And hopefully it's not a situation where you end up repeating kind of like what you maybe had to deal with a little bit whenever you were growing up, which again would be problematic if that was the case. Because again, when Saturn is in that fourth house area, when it comes to as a child or whenever you were a child, you may feel like you don't get the love and the warmth that you need from your parents. Either your parents are divorced, they hate each other, your parents can't get along. It can literally be one of those particular things. And some of you may have possibly had experiences with that. Or even if your parents are married and in the same house, they can't stand one another. And you can tell. You can tell when you sit at the dinner table, they don't even want to look at each other. That can sometimes be the reality of what a child may end up going through. So hopefully, that doesn't end up playing out in the same way. You don't want that to be the case, but that's kind of where it's coming from. There is a coldness here when it pertains to her. I mean, she's probably just being cold to him, but there's a coldness period. It's like one of those things where you're trying to force yourself in a way to accept something, but subconsciously speaking, you're struggling to understand it. And that may kind of be what we're looking at in a way as well. This is, I mean, again, this is stuff that people go through, especially whenever you are, young, have a baby, even whenever you're older and you're not really sure if you're ready. I don't necessarily think it's anything like it's super off of the wall. I feel like these are just thoughts that happen. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but you definitely need to talk to somebody about it because it doesn't go away, by doing stuff, or it doesn't matter how much you work out, it still sits there embedded in your subconscious. And sometimes, whenever Saturn is in the fourth house, it can make your parents unavailable. And that could be where the worry is coming from as well. Like, are you really watching the child, or is somebody else watching them? Because she's on the third degree of Pisces, and I think it would be conjunct Fomalhaut. So this baby is just going to make her more famous, which is probably going to be an issue when it pertains to BlueFace. Okay. And Fomalhaut, which is a fixed star, I think I'm saying it correctly. In Pisces, let me go back to the Decan so you guys can see. I shared the page. So the third degree of Pisces is here, it's situated on the first Decan, but it's situated on Neptune, of course. Kind, courteous, creative, imaginative, devoted, and friendly. So that's what we're looking at. But by the way, none of that has anything to do with parenting. Neptune don't have nothing to do with parenting. Let's be honest about that. Um, and we know Neptune can be kind of crazy, you know? Think about the most creative people in the world. They can be a little bit off the rocker sometimes. Heavy Neptune, you know. But let's read the degree of Pisces, which I kind of already said what it kind of is, but just for your own information. Success, wealth, often very hard work and responsibility. So it goes back to what I was talking about before. Like I said, this is going to bring more money, more responsibility. Okay, again, has nothing to do with parenting. Has nothing to do with parenting. But let's actually see because the moon is in. I don't, and I'm just curious who would be considered this middleman or the middle person. I'm not sure. So here we go. Let me go back. So here we go. So with her Saturn, well, with Chrisean making a square to the moon. Okay. When Saturn is in, let's say, a not so friendly connection with the moon, it can mean that you may end up taking over responsibilities or assuming an authoritative role for other people during trying times. So you don't really have a chance to maybe be vulnerable or sit and think about your emotions or how this whole process is feeling. Or that could be what we're looking at with her. She she's not really soaking it in. You're not really taking time to feel through these emotions that you have when it comes to having a baby. So this is probably going to make her tougher and not necessarily tougher in the good way because when Saturn squares moon, you know, it can bring an energy where you struggle, maybe even struggle to be comfortable like in your own skin, maybe you struggle to be comfortable in your own personality. So we may see someone whose personality or maybe their true personality starts to slowly dwindle, starts to slowly get tucked away for because of this particular moment. You are stepping up into an authoritative or stepping up into a role of responsibility during a time where things are difficult. So it almost comes across where, someone may say, like say hello to the bad guy or no more Mr. Nice Guy type of thing. So that softer or that gentler side that may have possibly been there may not necessarily be there as much in the future. Again, we don't necessarily know how this is going to play out because this can turn somebody very serious, but it also can bring relationship issues. So, it's no surprise. And whoever this third person is possibly at the helm of these relationship issues. But because these two are not connected, they have no thoughts about one another if that makes sense. But somehow it's almost like these two are having a go at whoever the hell will be the moon in this instance. It could be the baby, it may not. Wait, one, two, three, four, five. So the baby is fifth. Yeah. So the baby in this instance is fifth from Blueface. So fifth from Blueface would be a Sagittarius. So the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. So Blueface is connected to the Jupiter, which goes back to what I was already talking about before. But as you can see, Krishan is not connected to Jupiter. She's more worried about this moon in Gemini. Now, who this person would be, I don't freaking know. Let's see. One, two, three, four. Okay. So it could be so fourth from her, shoot, it could be home, maybe. We have Gemini. It could be gossip. It could be Well, gossip sites, news, that type of medium. That could be what she is more concerned about. Maybe. But it's not definite. Like one, two, three, four, five. Okay. So there's concern, but it's giving more so clicks and views. I hate to say it like that. And again, it's one of those situations where she's not taking it in. It's almost like in a way when it comes to BlueFace, it's coming across like I'm more concerned about well-being, and maybe for him, he feels like you're just more concerned about clicks and views, which she may be. I don't know. Okay, and that was like a roundabout way to go, but that's kind of like where we were at. Oh my God, this baby's personality is good. So this is gonna be interesting. I mean, I don't know how it goes, but it almost like the baby's gonna be one way over here, the baby's gonna be another way over here. In my opinion, the baby may be more calm over here, maybe more chaotic over here. Too much of an energy exchange over here, if you get what I'm saying. Like too many people in his face, too much this, too much that, too much. So again, I don't know how this is gonna go because we know the sixth house is the house of health, and that's why I said maybe he's more concerned about the child's well-being in that particular instance. Maybe. Okay, so where am I at in this situation? I know I was like talking for a long time. Um, okay, no, that's not gonna work. So yeah, we're just gonna synergy. I'm sorry you had said something well before, but that's not gonna work. So we're just gonna stick with what I was talking about. We're just gonna stick with him being at 12:30. It's fine. I just really want to. I'm not looking at like houses or anything like that. I kind of really just want to look at transits in terms of where he's at. So we've already like looked there. So let's go over here and we can start looking at these transits. So this is where we're at. These are the current transits in BlueFace's chart. This is where we're at. He has a lot more than Diddy. Diddy only had like a couple of these yesterday. But short term speaking, Mercury trine Venus. He has Mars square Mercury, tight orbs, Sun trine Venus, Mars trine Midhaven. Definitely worried about your career, aren't you, in Midhaven? Mars trine Uranus, worry about your money probably. Mars conjunct Mars, Mars sextile Pluto. It got a lot going on with these particular transits. Now, with this Mercury trine Venus, with this transit happening, and let me click it so you guys can see where Mercury is at right now, which is it's in retrograde, is trying to your natal Venus. Now, we know Venus normally in a man's chart is tied to the wife. So, Mercury trine Venus is also a transit where it can speak of a good time when it pertains to relationships. Now, we cannot forget that Mercury is retrograde. So, going back to somebody from your past that you may call your wife or that you possibly saw as your wife, whatever the situation is, because we do have Capricorn here. So we know Capricorn, which is tied to Saturn. Saturn represents things that are old. So you've gone back to an old relationship, something that was old. Okay. Hence, probably during maybe when Mercury was in its a pre-shadow period, or maybe whenever Venus was in retrograde, it could have been during those particular times. Is this reconciliation going to stick? Who's to say? Okay. Because let's take a look. Well, let's go back to Decans again, since we're on this particular subject, and let's look at the 13th degree of Capricorn. So Capricorn 13 degrees is situated on the second decan, which lo and behold is ruled by Venus. So it is a decan tied to friendliness, agreeability, energetic, enthusiastic, tenderhearted, and prideful. Now I want to take note of this adjective or these adjectives, friendly and agreeable. So let's go back here to transits. So Mercury retrograde in trine to your natal Venus, you have spent the block to somebody who has possibly always been kind to you, or maybe somebody who has always been agreeable. Monkey see, monkey do. But for some particular reason, that's where you find comfort. We also know that Capricorn or Saturn is tied to structure. So maybe spinning the block and going back to someone who, in a manner, has structure or brought a sense of structure into your life. Now, let's read the 13th degree of Capricorn for the detailed analysis. So, 13 degrees of Capricorn says criticism, sarcasm, aggressive. Okay. So, remember, I was saying it, spinning the block, forcefulness. So, we may have that going on when it pertains to this relationship that he has spent the block back to. Because again, that describes the time that we're looking at when it comes to Mercury trine Venus. It's a time period where it's positive change or could be positive outlooks when it pertains to Venetian type things. I mean, I don't know if they could have possibly been together when 13, 15, or high school, because isn't that kind of like whenever you go into high school? I think that's whenever I started high school. I just turned, well, I forgot how old I was. 13, 14, somewhere in there. But you get the gist. Okay? So there's transit one. Now we're looking at Mars square Mercury. Now, Mars is currently in 6 degrees Libra, and it is currently square to his natal Mercury in Capricorn. Okay. For some reason, whenever I said natal Mercury in Capricorn, it made me think, okay, let's talk business. Okay. So Mars is currently at fall in Libra, right? Because Libra and Aries are sister signs. Okay. If we're talking about a natal chart. But Mars is where, I mean, Aries is where Mars is at home. So Mars doesn't like Aries' sister sign, which would be Libra. And we know Libra is all about relationships. It's all about beauty. It's all about diplomacy. It's all about a whole bunch of stuff, advertisement. It's about fashion and stuff like that. But he's in detriment here. So it almost is one of those things where you're forcing yourself to go back to this Libra or this Venetian, I guess, type of situation. But it's for business. Let's talk business. It kind of makes me think of, you are, what's the word? Could be molding, or you are creating a copycat. But you also could be destroying this person's self esteem trying to create a copycat. Now, whether this other person knows it or not, but you know it, you know what you are creating. So maybe in some sort of a way, he is, whoever this person from the past is that he is dealing with, he is making them a copycat. He's in this copycat era with this particular individual. Now, I don't know whenever his natal Mercury and Mars started making a connection. This could have been some time ago, but it looks like it's going to keep ongoing until September 11th is Monday, right? I don't have a calendar in front of me, but you get the drift. So again, so now that we're speaking about Mercury squaring Mars in transit, this can also be a particular time where he is making rush decisions. He is operating off of his emotions, causing him to be very short tempered and aggressive. We know Mercury rules the hand, so hopefully he is not the ABUSIVE word to people or to a particular person, because you are not being a great copycat. So hopefully he is not, doing something along those lines, or because that particular type of dynamic isn't just always one way. Women can be that way as well. So who knows if it can be, the tables could be reversed. But like I said, rush decisions, jumping to conclusions, saying the wrong thing. Remember, I talked about that in the horary chart. Whenever I talked about him being here in the 25th degree, is about, that Aries energy made me feel like You're trying to get in front of something that kind of coincides with that whole element of jumping to conclusions, saying the wrong thing, and now what you got to do, you got to try to make up for it and get ahead of it before, it gets too bad. And also during this particular time period or over the next couple days through Monday, arguments, disagreements, being openly hostile makes me think of taking out your anger, frustration on someone else because you can't take it out on the person that you're pissed off about. Hence, Mars at fall in Libra. So this could definitely, well, not definitely, this could be towards someone that, again, he's in a relationship with or somebody he's had a relationship with or whatever the situation could be. My suggestion, go ride a bike. I mean, I don't know. Dip your toe in some pond water. I don't know. But figure out something else to do. Very hostile, very difficult time for him, especially whenever it pertains to relationships. I kind of talked about him maybe being a little bit sad, to be honest, whenever we were talking about the horary, but that again is just my opinion. Now, also during this particular time when Mercury is touching Mars, your relationships can suffer. So, could be a breakup, or it could be maybe something detrimental, possibly tied to relationships. Could come up, could come out, whatever the situation is. Doesn't mean it's going to be in a public way, but it could be because Libra is normally seventh house. Seventh house is normally very public house. It's your house of open enemies. So, and maybe that could be the situation here between he and Chrisean Rock. She is his enemy at this particular point, meaning saying things, jump to conclusions, getting in disagreements, arguments, being hostile, all these things can signify or happen during this particular transit. And definitely during this time, he's going to struggle when it comes to listening or taking advice. So you need to think twice. It's almost like don't incriminate yourself because he may possibly just do that. He may incriminate himself in a particular way. He's going to be very irritable. He's going to be very touchy. Hence where I said taking out your frustrations on other people because you can't take it out on the person that you would like to because that would be wrong. So hopefully he doesn't get into some stupid fight. Okay. The number 6 is tied to Virgo, if I believe correctly. So let's go back here. 6 degrees Capricorn. What does that say? Okay, the 6th degree of Capricorn. Look at that. Jealousy, strong attachment, trouble. So, a troubling contract, a troubling, especially because Mercury is in the sign of business, which we were talking about 30 minutes ago. Who knows? It could be in that particular way. Or could be if he and Chrisean have some sort of a contractual agreement, and they may actually have a contractual agreement, we may have a situation where you got to be careful not to get set up. Because then, if you get set up, somebody is going to possibly try to find a loophole to get out of their contractual obligation with you because they probably are starting another contractual obligation somewhere else. This is very shady. This is a very shady time, or at least he's gonna feel that way. He's gonna feel like he's going through a very shady time. Because also Mercury Mars is about being mindful about making important decisions or signing important contracts. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that anyway because Mercury is retrograde, but nonetheless, if he needs to deal with any type of business matters, he needs to step aside, cool off, and then be like, I'll talk about it in maybe a month because you're already on edge, you're already feeling unsettled. You're heated. You're impulsive. Who knows what you're going to do? You may get in trouble for racing cars, street racing, or who knows, running from the police because we know Mars tied to the police. So you have to be careful about that. So, what other transit do we want to take a look at? Hmm. Maybe this one. Maybe Mars sextile. He got a lot of Mars going on. Maybe Mars sextile Pluto. Yeah, we'll take a look at Mars sextile Pluto. Uh, Hope I'm not boring you to death. I mean, if you are bored, goodbye. Anyway, so with his Mars making an aspect to his natal Pluto. Now, again, Mars is the planet that is in motion right now, and it's making a connection to his natal Pluto. Let me show you his natal chart. So you see his Pluto right here? His Pluto is stationary. It ain't going nowhere. But Mars is the planet that's moving. So it's the one that's making an aspect to his stationary Pluto. I don't think I ever showed you his natal chart, but here it is. Okay. Anyway, so this can be a but on the flip side, he could use this energy of Mars to work in his favor. It can increase his drive. It can increase his determination to succeed. You remember, like I was talking about before, like we may have a situation where now somebody, even after 50, 11 kids, now this is the situation where it makes you want to grow up. You're inching. I was talking about that anyway. You're inching towards growth. Okay. So I don't necessarily think that that's bad, but also, when Mars is making an aspect to Pluto, it could be kind of like trekking across uncharted waters. So he may possibly be thinking about expanding. I want to do this. Maybe I kind of like want to do that or anything of the nature. Okay. Um, reform. So I'm telling you, this is just my opinion. I'm telling you, I think we have a person on our hand where you are afraid to be anything else than what you've already shown the public out of fear that it is probably going to mess up your cash flow. Maybe. Because I think he has something in trying. Yeah, he has his Mars in trying to his natal Uranus in Aquarius. So we know Uranus is the unexpected. We know Aquarius, what do you know, is tied to reform, community, the humanitarian groups, okay, social media. So his social media, maybe for the next day, 24 hours, may possibly be a shit show. And a lot of that just goes back to what I was already talking about. His subconscious is not really crumbling, but subconsciously speaking, it's like you're telling yourself I got to grow up, but you can't really show your growth in a way because people expect you to be a certain way. It's almost someone who's been known as being the problem child, and then they hit that light bulb moment and they're just like, wow, I really got to change. But you're always going to be labeled as a problem child. And then you turn around and you realize, well, shit, being, being responsible, that's not really getting me anywhere. People always want me to be the problem child. People always want me to be the problem. And that could be another thing here as well for him. For him, it could be him feeling like, oh, you guys always think I'm the problem. I'm always the problem. I'm always the problem. It's never the other person is the problem. I'm always the problem. That could be where he's going. So again, like I said, it's somebody where it's just like you're trying to get out of that energy, but people won't let you. I said it. Say hello to the bad guy. So it's almost like in a manner, it's easier for me to be the bad guy. But maybe he could have possibly felt like this over a long period of time. Always feeling like I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. Maybe he is the bad guy, or they both could be the bad guy. But unfortunately, in this one, he could feel like, well, I guess I'm the only person that has ever did anything in the particular situation. You know, Aquarius 4 degrees. Yeah, ego, self love, sympathetic, reflective. I said it. Artistic taste, painting, sculpture. He is reflecting, but I was kind of getting that anyway in the horary. He is going through that period of time, and I think that's a good thing, but it probably isn't going to stick because people have already made up their mind about who he is, and I really don't think that that's going to change. Even if there is shared blame, it ain't going to change. So, and this is just overall. The world rewards people for bad behavior. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me because if you've been bad, you got consequences. That's it. But in today's climate, it's almost just like, well, if you've been bad, You got consequences, but they're good consequences. It doesn't make any sense. The world has gone to hell. The world's gone to shit. That's why I don't give a shit. I just be like, whatever, because this is stupid to me. But that's just me. That's just me. We got to save a little piece of the world if we can, but at this point, it's in hell. Oh, but let's go back here. So I feel like I actually kind of went over Blueface's natal chart. I actually already did a reading on these two way back at the beginning of the year, I think. So I will probably post that reading in the comments so that you guys can look at it. But that's pretty much what I wanted to go over a little bit when it pertains to Blueface. I know I've been running my mouth for an hour and 10 minutes with not much of a break. Now would be the time for you guys to throw out your questions, and I could probably throw out a I'll will pool, excuse me, a few tarot cards on the matter, and it could be about anything. If you know something that I don't know and you have a question, throw it out there and we can take a look and see. But if there isn't any questions, then I guess we can call it. But please ask some questions. Okay. I don't want this to be a dud. I don't want it to be where it's not interactive in a way. So yeah, throw out your questions. I guess I'll give you guys about a minute or so. I can't remember which one was the good one. Okay, did you come up with something good? I hope so. Oh, okay. Oh, will she have a you know what? That's a good question, but I wouldn't bank on it at this particular point. Okay? And I know, you know, I have to get on the floor cuz I need to find my cards, but I know my particular opinion on the matter is going to be unpopular, but I am no fool. And a big portion of the public is kind of foolish on this particular situation. Okay. So, will they have another baby? I don't think so. But it's kind of weird because what if he wants another child, even though he has all these thoughts about her? Let's see. Okay, let's see what the cards are going to say about this situation. Oh, my lord. hmm Queen of Swords. Okay. Oh. Okay, so from my determination on this particular situation, it does feel like that these two are probably going to sleep together again in private, but they probably are going to um portray it to the public that they hate one another. And it does feel like that there will be another pregnancy, but she is not going to keep it. Mm-mm. I'm again, this is just my opinion when it pertains to her. The motherly instinct is just not there, guys, and I get it. I understand, and I'm not saying it in a manner to shit on her parade, because again, I could care less. It's not there. She's coming out as the Empress and the Four of Cups right on top of each other, and is upright. She is not as interested as you guys. It's again, I said it before, it's almost like trying to force someone to be a parent, and that particular switch is just not within them. And when it's going to turn on, I don't know. um but I mean, I just don't know. But she is, it's like, it's okay right now, but as time goes on, the Four of Cups, I mean, we may have a situation where, I hope not, jealousy. You may have two parents that may end up possibly being jealous of this particular child, because the child itself may end up maybe being way more popular than they will be. I mean, of course, she's the mother, so she is going to benefit from the popularity. But yes, it's just not there, and that sucks. Um, Brandy, I've never seen you in here. Hello, hello to all you, I don't know, listeners out there. um, So, Yolanda, to answer your question, I get a yes, but I feel like she's going to terminate it. And actually, this could be in less than 2 years. I give it 19 months. We probably won't ever hear about it. Okay. So, looks like just one child from these two. Okay. Oh, Brandy, you want to know, will Chrisean ever truly let go of him in their relationship as a couple? Well, right now, she doesn't really care. Neither one of them really cares. They both, in their own way, are focused on the baby, but it's for different reasons. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Let's see. Chrisean. Oh yeah, she ain't having it. Also, it, because the Empress is now coming in reverse. Now that I'm asking Krishan about, Brandy's question, letting go of Blueface, she's also focused on her attractiveness. Um, oof. Blue Phoenix, that is a great point. Every mother doesn't have that in them. I 100% agree with you. No doubt. So I don't know, and it's kind of irritating sometimes where they're just like every single woman on the world is like supposed to be a mother. Like, whoa, 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 back up, because some people just don't have that bone in their body. It's not easy being a mom. It's very difficult. Being a parent, period. Father, mother, doesn't matter. It's difficult. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, so I pulled the cards for Krishan in terms of Brandy's question, if she will ever let him go. Krishan is, in terms of this situation, I'm getting the Wheel of Fortune in reverse and the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So that right there signifies wealth energy to me. And with them both being in reverse, wealth is going to go down. He is going to possibly take some sort of avenue away from her that has established a sense of her wealth. Okay. Now the devil is coming in reverse. Right now, she's in a period where she wants him to stay away. She has blocked him, but also she is actually feeling hurt by him because the Nine of Swords is coming up as well. So she is feeling rejected for sure. Okay, quite emotional, or this is gonna hit her like a ton of bricks before the month of September is over. The Eight of Wands, so they're not having sex, but also there's this energy here where she's actually having some regrets when it pertains to having sex with him. And I'm not gonna say what I'm actually getting, um, because we can't say that. But yes, she still cares about him though, without a doubt. But she is also tired of him embarrassing her. Look, it's kind of like coming through in a manner like either she is acknowledging that Blueface was kind of like her cash cow, or she feels like something in that manner, like I said, is going away. The King of Wands is coming in reverse. Okay, so lack of loyalty. Hmm. There will be. Who is this person? There will be someone else though coming in 2 years. It could be another water sign. It actually may end up being a Cancer at this particular point. Yes. So I think Blueface in a minute may actually end up like taking away some type of revenue or avenue or something like that when it pertains to her making money, because he's trying to starve her out. But it's not really going to work because like I said, the baby has made her more popular and all that stuff. So whatever he's doing right now or whatever he's trying to do to starve her out in a way, it's just not going to work. You know? It's just not going to work. Now, in terms of Chrisean, I'm curious actually, because these two were meant to have a baby. I actually talked about this, or I talked about the whole baby situation on my Instagram, which you can go there, and I did a reading on Chrisean and Blueface, and I was kind of saying that having a baby is just one of those things that shouldn't happen, but it's almost like it's divinely guided. And I still stand by my statement. So I'm just going to see. I know you guys didn't really put this question on there, but I'm curious to see how she really felt about him overall. Cuz I have a hunch that it may not be what people think. I got a hunch. Let's see. Huh. Mhm. Mhm. It's weird. Like there's care here, but that oh yeah, there's care here, but that like feeling of there's care, but I don't know about love. Genuine, true love. I don't know about that, guys. I'm just being honest. Um, because I have the Queen of Cups, which is upright, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. I like the Queen of Cups, but the King of Cups in reverse, and those are the pair. But whenever he's in reverse, you can't do nothing with that. You might as well be in a relationship by yourself, you know? And then we have the devil. The devil is here as well. The Queen of Cups and the devil to me is very manipulative energy, and the sun is also in the same spread as well. That's business. You probably don't want to hear it. Again, Chrisean was definitely able to manipulate Blueface, but I think the same thing would go for him. He was able to manipulate her as well. Hmm. The one person that believed in her talent, or the one person that believed in her in a manner when it pertains to getting her out there. So there is a sense of, I guess, maybe a appreciation, or I don't even know if respect would be the thing, but there is that sense of it kind of feels like brother and sister. It does kind of feel like brother and sister to me. These two have a past life relationship to one another without a doubt, and they may have been cousins or they may have possibly been a part of the same family. I wouldn't even be surprised now if they are a part of the same family tree, but they have a past life. It ain't love. Could be daughter, sister, brother, whatever it is, but it's giving siblings. It's not giving partnership in that way. So it's just like a care, but I'm not getting love. I'm just not getting it. Hey Goldie. That's a good question, Blue Phoenix. I'll check on is well, I'll just check on your question. I'm pulling the past life cards for these two. I feel like I already have when it comes to Blueface and Chrisean. That's the thing with that Queen of Cups and that Devil energy. They can definitely play on people's emotions to get them to feel sorry for them, but there are times where they can definitely manipulate people. And I think that is something that gets overlooked a lot when it comes to that particular tarot pairing. Honestly, this may be a daddy daughter connection from past life. So that's why I was like, I don't really get love here. Not to me. Hmm. Yep, it is divinely guided that these two are supposed to have a parent, I mean, have a baby, but she's going to struggle with anger even whenever it possibly pertains to being a mother because the war and battle card is sitting right on top of the mother energy. So either she's angry at her own mother and even having a baby is going to trigger trauma from her mother, or remember I said even in the chart we looked at could possibly trigger trauma from a father, okay? Um but yeah, with the mother card, definitely a baby. It's like you keep trying, you keep trying, you keep trying. I guess, it's supposed to fulfill past life sacrifice. Yeah, so this definitely feels like a mother son, daddy daughter type of connection with the past life cards because we have phobia, we have sacrifice, we have authority figures, and we have a vow. So one of them has made the ultimate sacrifice like a parent would so that the other person can have fame. This is the first time in their lifetime that they've ever had fame, but it's like something that they always wanted. So the other person, they put themselves on the line for that to happen. That's the way it comes across. Something like a parent would do. A parent, you would think a parent will sacrifice what they want to do so that their child can have better or their child can have this particular situation. That is what I'm reading here. So if there's a dynamic between the two of them where one of them is coming across like you owe me, it's a past life. It's a past life. The past life in a minute does say one of them does owe the other person because I sacrificed so that you can be what you wanted to be. A thing that a lot of parents will not do, even today. They won't touch it because then that means that the shine is taken off of me and it's all on you. Yep. But I also would say one of them has to be careful because they may end up behind bars for forgery or something dealing with finances. That is actually coming across in the past life connections as well. But with Orphan in Egypt, one of them is not really good at managing their finances. It's almost like they have some sort of learning disability or maybe autism, or it could be something else where they are just not good when it pertains to those particular um situations. Okay. And it kind of sucks whenever you end up playing out your past life energy, and even your past life it was kind of like chaotic, so it makes you feel for the parties involved like, wow, I really hope this doesn't play out the same way again. It almost makes me think of like debtor's prison. One of them actually may have been locked away in debtor's prison in a past life, leaving the other person to, of course, raise the children on their own. Hmm. Father, health, communal living, biblical farm. Atlantis definitely need to stay away from water because one of them thought about drowning themselves or there's some sort of accident tied to water. Yep, baby, the arch ship. I knew it. I said this baby's going to be something. I think this baby may actually end up being a, a international star. They have to be careful because it actually feels like in the past life the baby was kidnapped. My opinion. This baby was kidnapped by someone because somebody like saw the baby's potential or they were just going to make the baby a star. So the baby was kidnapped. This was after one of them went to jail for debtor's prison, leaving the other person alone. But I know you don't want to hear it. Sold whoever had control of the baby after one of them went to prison. The other one sold the baby to this person that took them away to make them a star. So that is concerning because remember I said before, if you're having all these energy exchanges and all that stuff like that when it pertains to the baby, that's not bad, or we may be running into a past life situation again, which we do not want. Okay, but this is unrequited love. These two were never supposed to be married. I honestly don't think these two were even supposed to be in a relationship. Again, this is a manifestation, or not even really a manifestation. This is, like I said, just a that's why I said this feels very twin flame-ish because the angels cards at the bottom as well. So yes, probably the worst kind of relationship that you could be in, to be honest. And you avoid these relationships like the plague because they're not going to bring you anything but sadness. Okay, yeah, this is unrequited love, and that's what I was saying before. Care, but I don't really think there's actually love here. I mean, that's just what I was getting. Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse and the Eight of Swords in reverse. Yeah, somebody has very, 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 very deep mental health issues. It's not just that. There's also some sort of disability or something like that that I feel like is coming out from someone. So it's have you ever seen that movie I Am Sam? I mean, I know that's an extreme. It was that Sean Pennington. I might be wrong about his name. But yeah, that movie. I think he won an Oscar for that. It kind of gives me that vibe. I remember he had a child, and that was so sad to see, but for some reason it kind of gives me that same vibe. Oh my god. This is just not no bueno. Okay. Um Sean Penn. Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda. I man, when I watched that movie, I could not stop crying. I'm like, this is terrible, but you just can't look away because wow. Yeah, okay. It wasn't okay. My opinion, Blue Phoenix, that was nothing. You know how many athletes across the world are exactly like Krishan? Come on, let's be for real. It's not that's not it. I mean, seriously, you got Serena Williams, you got Venus Williams, you got Simone Biles, you got a whole bunch of people that I went to school with that went to top 25 schools that look exactly like her. Track. You know, I was in a grocery store the other day and I was getting my meat from the counter and I ran into a guy and his daughter. Um, she ran track, went to the Olympics. It's the same thing. I mean, nothing special. Just saying. Who else? There's a shoot, Crystal Dunn. You know, she's up there. Coco, was it Coco Goff, Naomi Osaka? So it's not like she's one of a million. Who was the question? Is Blueface going to marry Jaden? Okay, couple more minutes and then I have to go. Shoot, Shakari Richardson, Althea Gibson. We can go way back. What's the girl that swims? What's the girl? The black girl that swims. She's good. Um, let's see. Blueface, January 20th. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, these two are sticking together like glue. It's giving me good luck trying to break these two up. They are the King of Swords and the King of Cups upright, right next to each other. They're not like really ever going to leave each other's side, to be honest, but there's no love here either. Mm-mm. Too many it's like they've abandoned each other too many times. There's money to be made. The Ace of Pentacles is coming up. They are attracted to one another, but mm-mm, no. They're trying to move forward with each other, but I don't think they're going to be able to because they can't let go of the past. Yeah. So this feels like a very long relationship. They do care about one another. Okay. Um, but there's going to be another betrayal for sure in the future, possibly another woman. And this time, this one may be older. It's either older woman or older man coming into one of their lives. I mean, who knows who that could be? Um, but I don't see a marriage here. I definitely see living together for a long time. Okay, I mean, this may be an 18-year cycle, rather in total, or they have just now started on their 18-year cycle. But there is no marriage here. Okay, but oddly enough, there's, I guess, fairness, if you want to call it. I mean, by way of the okay, either okay, hopefully not. Again, jail. Jail is coming up again. Oh yeah. This is no bueno. Mhm. I'm just not really getting marriage. One of them is not suited for marriage. They know they're not suited for marriage, so they're just not even going to like set themselves up for that disappointment. But also one of them is very, very mean to their kids. The devil with the page of wands. Almost to the point, hopefully not abusive because that would be bad, but like, that energy where you are just unnecessary punishment. Like, bro, they didn't even do anything. So like why are you being unnecessary to them? Kind of like that. So no marriage, but I do feel like, um long standing, relationship. So I don't know. I hope not. Um Blue Phoenix, to be honest, I think neither one of them are talented. That is in my opinion. That's my opinion. You know, you can teach somebody how to be an athlete. That ain't hard work. I did it before. It's not hard. It's very easy, actually. You can teach somebody to be good. Can you teach somebody how to be a LeBron James and a Michael Jordan? Absolutely not, because you are born with that talent. Can you teach somebody how to be a Larry Bird or a Shaquille O'Neal or shoot even a Zion Williamson, even though he can't stay, unhurt? Can you teach somebody how to be a Tom Brady? No, because you are born. You are born like that. You damn sure can't teach nobody how to be the next Serena. That ain't gonna happen. You know, that's a different type of gene pool that that's a different type of gene pool that literally has to be there at conception, you know. So I don't find either one of them talented, in my opinion. What they can do, you can do. Anybody in here of you guys can do. All you need is the right person to get on your ass and train you. You can do that. It's very easy. But unfortunately, the world rewards mediocrity. So this is what we have. And that's fine. That's fine. You know. Um Blue, yes, I said that actually, Blue Phoenix. I actually did say that. It came up in their past life reading that their child is the one that is going to be the star. And I think maybe that's why the energy is shifting a little bit in Blueface, because I think he kind of feels that. So you're trying to, what I say, you're trying to get ahead of it. So whenever that time comes, it can be like, oh, I know my son's gonna choose me because over here everything is more mellow. La da da da. I see what you're doing. I see what they're doing, you know? So I 100% agree with you. I absolutely think that their child has the talent, and it's true. He is going to have the talent. So, and it's so weird how you have that type of talent born from mediocrity, but it happens all the time. It happens all the time. So, good luck to the baby. That's who I'm rooting for at this point. Good luck to the baby. You other two, whatever. But so, where to go? Any other questions? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. All right, so guys, I have to get ready to go, but it was a good one. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Of course, this will be available on the replay, so you can always scroll back through and listen again in case you miss something. And I will see you on um the next one.